And welcome back. The next topic we're going to talk about, and we'll use the code from the last sample, is the concept of overloading of functions. We overload a function by changing what's known as the signature of the function to something different, allowing us to use the same name of the function with something else. So in an example of this, a signature of a function is the name and the parameters of the function. So a function that is this, a function that has this with nothing inside the parameters is not the same as something that has two integer reference variables inside the parameters. So if you wanted to have get2 be something you use continuously throughout a piece of code, for example, but sometimes they have an integer and sometimes they have an integer double as the two, and then sometimes you had say two doubles. Each of these three have the same exact name, but what varies is the last part of it is what's sitting inside the actual function call. So the compiler would know that if you called get2 and you passed it two integers, to use the integer one. If you called get2 and you passed it an integer and a double, it would know to use the integer double function. So it allows you to use the same name over and over and over again. If you go back to C++ reference and you look up the POW function, in later versions of C, we can see that there's about 4 or 5 different versions of POW all out there that have two integers, two floats, two long floats, two doubles, allowing you to just use the POW function without actually having to memorize POW underscore integers, POW underscore float, POW underscore doubles. You have to come up with a new name for every single one of these and remember which one to use it in. In this case, we can just literally take these guys, and I'll show you how this works. Come down here. We're going to cheat and steal. Actually, I'll cheat and steal all of this. And we'll just do this. So the int becomes that, the double becomes that, and then we'll just kind of slide this out. Enter a number, enter a number. So enter a real number just to make it more fun. And then we can do the same thing with this, except we're going to just, I'll just muck around a little bit. Num1, num2, go away. And you can see, even though we're not calling it yet, we can come down here and declare a couple of numbers. Making changes on the fly. So we can do get2. So if I can call get2, and we can say we'll give it a number and a number 3. And I can say get2. And you can see it shows up in the list. I can pick the one I want and then put in number 3, number 4. And CLion's being nice and telling us what we're doing. And now you can see this program, at least as far as the pre-compiled version of it, it doesn't really care what you're doing because it now knows that I have 3 different versions of get2 with a different parameter list, so the signatures of these are different. So therefore, the compiler can actually use and run with these guys and make them all work. So this is a very useful thing to have when you have a concept that you want to continually execute, but the parameter lists in it might be completely different. So you write the same function allowing for you to use different parameters. Later on, when you get into more advanced C++, you'll learn about things called types. So they're basically allowing you to use undefined things that get defined on the fly. You've kind of seen that already with a static cast. If you remember static cast has these braces here and then these parentheses. That means this is a function, and what goes in here can be any type that you want to put. So I can put an integer in, I can put a double in, I can put a character in. And if it's convertible and they have the function for it, it'll run. So the function static cast is something that is allowing you to use overloaded functions with just a parameter change to tell you what to do. So you give it something, and then this unique variable type here allows us to change and run with this guy. So that's something you'll get into more later, how to write those things. But for now, just know that you can overload functions. You should do it when logically you don't want to come up with different names for things to do the same exact thing. The only thing that changes is your parameter list. And that's overloaded functions. Hope you're having a great day.